Forensic psychologists have spent decades studying exactly how manipulators select, test, and trap the people closest to them. This video brings together every stage of that pattern, from the moment they first notice you, to the moment self-doubt takes hold, to why escaping feels almost impossible. Stay until the end, because the final section explains exactly why this pattern repeats across completely different relationships in a person's life. Part 1. The watching phase. Before a manipulator ever speaks to you, they watch. How you handle rejection, how you respond to attention, how you react when ignored. This is not curiosity, it is assessment. Every reaction you give becomes data. Predatory people specifically look for signs of low boundary enforcement, high empathy, and strong desire for connection. These are not weaknesses, they are simply the traits that make someone capable of loving deeply. And that depth is exactly what makes you valuable to someone incapable of it. Part 2. The testing phase. Once they've identified a target, small tests begin. A late reply, a minor inconsistency, a small boundary push that seems almost too small to mention. These tests are deliberate. If you chase after a late reply, they learn you fear abandonment. If you accept an inconsistency without question, they learn you'll accept bigger ones later. If you ignore a small boundary violation, they learn there is no real boundary at all. By the time anything serious happens, they already have a complete map of exactly how far they can go with you specifically. Part 3. The fishing phase. This is where they gather your deepest vulnerabilities directly from you. Casual questions that feel like genuine interest. Has anyone really understood you? Do people usually let you down? Every honest answer becomes a tool. Your fear of abandonment becomes their leverage. Your past hurt becomes the wound they know exactly how to reopen. This is why it feels like they understand you better than anyone ever has. They do. You told them everything they needed to know. Part 4. The timing. Manipulators rarely strike randomly. They wait for moments of isolation, a breakup, a job loss, a period of loneliness. When you are isolated, your need for connection increases, and your judgment about red flags decreases. This is called opportunistic targeting, and it explains why so many people say they came into my life at the perfect time. It wasn't perfect timing, it was calculated timing. Part 5. The idealization. Once the connection begins, the love bombing starts. You are told you are perfect, the best thing that has ever happened to them. This triggers oxytocin release, the same bonding chemical released between a mother and her newborn child. By the time this stage ends, you are neurologically bonded to a version of them that may never have been entirely real. Part 6. The erosion of self-trust. This is the most important part of the entire pattern. The end goal is never control over your actions. It is the destruction of your trust in your own mind. That didn't happen the way you think. You're remembering it wrong. Each phrase chips away at your ability to trust your own perception until you start checking your judgment against their version of events instead of your own memory. This is the actual mechanism of control, not fear, not force, self-doubt. Part 7. The triangulation. While this is happening to you directly, something else is happening around you. They tell mutual friends a slightly different story. They build sympathy with family members before anything has even gone wrong. This is why so many victims say nobody believed them. It is not because the truth wasn't believable. It is because the lie was told first, to more people. Part 8. Why the cycle repeats. After conflict or discard, the apology comes. Intense remorse, showering of affection. Promises it will never happen again. This triggers relief in your brain, and relief feels almost identical to reward. This is the exact same psychological mechanism used in gambling addiction. Unpredictable punishment followed by unpredictable reward creates the strongest possible bond. This is why leaving feels impossible. You are not simply leaving a person, You are leaving an addiction. Cycle your own brain built in response to their behavior. Part 9. Why it happens again. Here is the part almost nobody explains. If you do not consciously recognize this entire pattern, your nervous system remains calibrated to it. Calm, consistent people may feel boring to a nervous system trained on highs and lows. This is why the same pattern can repeat with a completely different person. It was never really about that one individual. It was about a pattern your nervous system learned to associate with connection itself. Part 10. Breaking it. The first step to breaking this pattern is simply naming it while it is happening. Watching, testing, fishing, timing, idealizing, eroding, trust, triangulating, cycling. Once you can identify which stage you are in, the pattern loses its invisibility, and patterns that can be seen can be interrupted. You do not need their explanation to heal. You only need your own decision to stop being available for the next cycle. If this video explained patterns you have lived through, you are not alone, and you were never the problem. Subscribe for more complete psychological breakdowns like this one, and tell me in the comments which stage was the hardest for you to recognize.